So I recently connected with Marilyn Cowley. She runs a growing agency called Prem PR and Social. She's a younger entrepreneur who has actually recently started her business, and I wanted to bring her in, get her thoughts, pick her brain while it's still fresh on what it's like to run a growing agency. So here is our interview. Enjoy.
So my name is Marilyn. I own Prem PR and Social. So it's a agency where we focus a lot on PR and content marketing. You know, as we all know, the world is really just moving social. So I said, you know, there's a huge advantage just getting into that social world. And so that's where I've decided to really become a master of those things, because you could be a jack of all trades, master of none. So I just said, I'm going to leave the good creative graphic design stuff to Sean, you, and I'll take on, you know, the content marketing, the social media, the PR side of things. You know, I consider myself an expert in those types of fields. Even influencer marketing is something that we've been doing a lot of, and you know, I've realized it's a really good, you know, niche to be in, and so we've been really crushing it in influencer marketing, and that's all, you know, content as well. It's creating content for your clients. So that's the grunt of the business, what I do. On the side, I host a TV show on a Fox affiliate. I've always had a passion for doing anything TV. So I do that. That's my side hustle. And I always tell everyone, you need to have a side hustle. I don't care what you do, you have to have a side hustle. You always have to supplement the income somehow.
You seem to me kind of like one of those just natural driven entrepreneurs. Like, how did you know, or when did you know that you wanted to be in business for yourself?
It was kind of crazy. So I was working, I did 5 internships throughout college. And this is like really just second nature to me. Now, if I mention that something like 5 internships, they're all unpaid. And I just said to myself, I need to get experience, because when I get out into the real world, like, they're gonna hire someone with experience rather than none. So I just took it upon myself. The last one, I got hired full-time at a really small advertising agency. So I worked with local clients and then agricultural clients as well. And that just came to a bad point where I was running the show, boss wasn't present. I was like, what am I doing here? My purpose is just not here. I said, I just quit, up and left. And at the time I didn't really realize, like, I am an entrepreneur. Like, it didn't really dawn on me until, you know, my boyfriend was like, Marilyn, you were running the show. You could do this on your own. And I'm like, you know what? I did start a college class in high school that I had to like totally write a whole thing up on, submit it to colleges. And then I started thinking in the past, like, oh my goodness, I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. Like, it really didn't hit me until I was, I think, 23 when I really just quit and started my own business. But
so you're 23 when you started your own business?
I think I was 24.
24.
Yeah.
Are your parents entrepreneurs?
No. So my parents didn't go to college. My dad, he was just terrible. He was a contractor his whole life, never had a contractor's license. He just had connections, you know, and he was a handyman. He's like, okay. And luckily, you know, my family had enough connections to where, oh, hey, you know, can you hire him for a job? But I mean, we lived a, you know, good lifestyle.
So entrepreneurship wasn't something you were raised up. It was just something you discovered that you knew you wanted. I feel like, to that story, like when people get that entrepreneurial, it's just when they work for a terrible entrepreneur, they're like, man, if this dude could do it, I could totally do it. I always tell people, you know, especially like if I'm coaching them, I said, I guarantee if you spend like a month with me every day, you'll be absolutely convinced that you could own your own business. Because I'm not like a genius or a rocket scientist. If I could do it, like anybody could do it. But I feel like it's a lot of it's just a mindset thing. So you got the mindset, you're like, okay, I can be in business for myself. Why am I going to work for other people? Yeah. And then you started what business at 24?
Prem. So I started Prem, or at the time, it was crazy how it happened. So I had met with my old company 2 potential clients, because he came down to a point, he goes, this is terrible, and I hope no agency ever gets to this point, but hey, we're not making any money because the boss was terrible. He goes, I'm cutting everyone's pay. You're now only on commission. So, and I hate it. I hate selling. And to this day, I like it more, but it's one of those scary things. And so, but when something like that comes on you, you're like, oh my goodness, I've got to get out into the real world and start selling. So I had met with like a few people. I love walking into places. I'm not a big, you know, cold caller. I hate that. I'm more of a people person. So you walk in, introduce yourself. Just when I had quit, I kind of just let it fall under, you know, the doormat. And then I got calls from both of them like, hey, you know, we really liked you. We think you can really help us. What happened to you, basically? I was like, ding. be right there. And so I had no name, I had nothing. And I just put together a proposal from what I knew. And in that week I signed 2 clients and I had never.
So it was an opportunity, it is very much a timing thing. The timing was perfect, the opportunity was there. 24, I'm assuming you didn't have a ton of risk, right? No
Luckily,
family,
I
no
didn't.
house or anything
Yes.
like that. And so it's like, you know what, why not? I'm gonna go for it. You got 2 clients and that's the start of your business.
Yeah.
And so you're working for this other guy and he says, hey, you're on commission to where you gotta sell. And you're like, oh no, I don't wanna sell to make a living, so I'm gonna go and sell on my own. So basically you just didn't wanna sell for somebody else.
Yeah, and I don't ever like to consider myself a salesperson, because when I think of that term, I just think of a car salesperson and I can't stand them. I just had to get rid of one of them the other day, and he was texting me and calling me, and I told him so many times, do not talk to me. And he's going off other phone numbers, and I'm like, this is why I can never tell myself I'm a salesperson. But in reality, you're selling yourself and your services. So, and people believe in you. I've just been a firm believer that I'm not going to call you every day and text you and email you, hey, have you made a decision? My thing is, like, you should feel a strong connection enough and believe in me that I can get the job done. And once I know you believe it, you're going to want to work with me. And maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong in that aspect. Maybe I should be better at, selling and being more persistent, but I've found that that's just worked with me and growing, my business.
Yeah. That's interesting. So like I had the same exact mindset. So before I started Butler, I worked a few different jobs. One of the jobs I did was sales, but I was a terrible salesperson, which is funny because like I'm the sole salesperson really for Butler, and I've been doing that since 2012. But it took me about 3 years to be comfortable with the fact of calling myself a salesperson or I do sales. I was like, no, I don't sell. I educate people and I help them and I serve people. And like, well, are you taking money from them? Well, yeah, well then you're selling. But before, when I was actually doing sales, I felt like the reason I didn't like it is because I felt like I was convincing people to do something they didn't really need or want. And so I was going cold into this conversation with somebody who it was like unsolicited. They didn't want it, they didn't request it, and I'm trying to convince them why they need this thing that I'm trying to present to them. And I just felt like gross doing it. But where I have my services and what we do, I believed that what we did has actual value. So it kind of changed my mindset to where I was like, oh, I'm not selling, I'm adding value to people, and it's a value exchange where I'm asking them for money and they're asking me for this value. So did you struggle, like it sounds like you did for a little bit with the idea of selling, but when you did your own thing, your mindset kind of changed. So tell me about, like, how did you start selling your services when you first started your company?
So it was, like you said, a mindset, and then you start believing like what you do is actually provides value. Because in my previous job, I didn't really believe what we did provided value. But until it was, wow, I'm running my own team, like I'm a one-man show and I know I can help you because I'm so passionate and, you're my baby and I'm going to take you on and I'm going to do anything I can in my power to help you. It was just like that mindset switch, like I'm providing a value to you and just work with me because I'm going to show you what I can do. And I mean, I am the worst liar. I can't lie. It's terrible.
It's a good quality.
I can't lie. So it's like, that's why I couldn't be a good salesperson, because I almost feel like a lot of salespeople like to lie, like, oh, my product's the best, you're gonna love it, you're gonna do great, and then look, they don't, they oversell and don't produce. So I can't lie. So when I am talking to someone, I think they can tell, I'm genuine about helping them, type of a thing.
Yeah. So for creatives, I think a lot of them, it's not only the fact of like, well, I don't want to be associated with icky kind of sales, or used car salesman type things where I'm trying to convince people of bad things, but they just feel awkward about having conversations about money. And I don't know, I've never talked to you about this. Like, how do you feel naturally comfortable asking people for money, and like, how do you come up with your prices, or do you feel hesitant, or do you feel like 100% confident anytime you're talking about money with potential clients?
I think probably money is the one thing I'm still working on. It's still so awkward for me. I don't know why it is. It's like one of those things I just have to get over it. And I keep telling myself, I'm like, this is the business you're in. You're providing a service. They understand it costs money. But it's awkward. And I know, maybe it is because I'm more on the creative side and rather than the sales side. Prices wise, I really don't have like set price structures. I know maybe like a minimum is before I start losing money, but I really like to just work with the client and figure out, okay, if I really want to work with them, what's your budget? what can I do to filter in, help you, maybe start seeing some sales, so then, hey, we can work out a structure where I'm making more money in the long run. Because if I do believe, hey, I can help you, then it's gonna work out as a win-win in both aspects. I mean, I've had projects where you're charging, 10K, which is awesome, and those, I don't know, they probably come around more than they do for me, but I mean, those are really great.
So with that, we were stuck for a while. So I started in 2012. It wasn't until 2016 where we got our first 5-figure project, 10,000
Wow.
and above. And so between those 4 years, I contemplated quitting a ton. Like I was like, man, this entrepreneurship thing sucks. Like this is hard. I had the dream of like having my own business, but I was working my, fingers to the bone, and I wasn't ever getting ahead. And I noticed my clients, we're doing really good work for them, and I feel like, some of them were nickel and diming me, and like the guys that were kind of lowballing the price, they would be the hardest people to work with. And so I was like, man, this thing, like, do I really want to do this? And I was like, there has to be a better way. And the way I wanted to serve people, definitely, like, it required a lot more money. I was just like, I didn't know how to cross that. And so I got coaching. I took myself to YouTube University, read some books, and just learned a lot about what we did. I leveled up in our skill, but I also had to change my mindset. Really, the main thing that held me back from selling at the level that we wanted to sell was a mindset change. And so just to be transparent, our minimum level of engagement used to be $1,000. So that means a person would come to us for a website, they could expect to spend $1,000. We're charging $948. I have no idea how I came up with $948, but that was the price. And at the time I had a $20,000 a month overhead, which means I had to sell 15 to 20 projects per month just to be at zero at the end of the month. And so with the level of creative work that I want to do, like, we were at capacity. It was really low level work, small mom and pop businesses. And so I was like, man, I either need to sell a lot more or I need to sell a lot higher. Selling a lot more would have been a nightmare because we were already at capacity with what we were able to do.